What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Payne. Welcome back to another Street Fighter Duel video. All right, guys. I want to talk about something real quick because I'm still getting a lot of these questions, and this is going to actually be about Evil Ryu, Gouken, and Akuma. The question is pertaining around a few different things. Now, we'll do an updated tier list with Gouken and Diviner Rose very soon. That'll probably drop sometime either this weekend or this coming week. I still don't know how busy my weekend's going to be. And the reason why this is being asked a lot, again, is a lot of people are now, as free-to-play even, are completing one unit and going on to the next, or they're halfway completing one unit and halfway completing the other unit, and they want to know where these units, specifically Gouken, Evil Ryu, and Akuma, where they have their places, and in what content are they best used at. So first off, I want to talk about one thing real quick. A lot of people are misunderstanding how to use Akuma and how to use Iryu, okay? So Iryu's goal, let's just go to him right now, is to provide you guys with a buff and sustainability as well as damage, right? He's a trigger unit, so he's not the same as Akuma, he's not the same as Gouken. The way he works is he will trigger his own combos based off of the combos your other units do. So combo 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so his specifically, I believe, are combo 2 and 3. Let me just double check to make sure it's been a long time since I've even looked at this. Automatically unleashes if Shoryuken is unleashed. This is C1, and this is combo 3. So combo 3 and is automatically unleashed once if the Shoryuken is unleashed. Yeah, so this is done after the Shoryuken is unleashed. Okay, so the way he works, and the whole point of Iryu is he's meant to give you guys a buff, right? His main thing is increase the damage boost to 25%. So whenever he does Satsu no Iki, right here, all the friendly fighters lose 15% of their max HP, but deal 25% more damage until the end of the battle. That's really his main goal. His goal is to be a boosting unit, but not only that, but he actually does do quite a bit of damage, increasing his Shun Goku Satsu to 845. When an enemy uses combo 3, when Iryu has less than 60% HP, he unleashes that. Now, that was broken. It is now fixed, just so everyone's aware, okay? Now, you can see here, if you end up getting his level 5, he actually you only lose 10% instead of 15%, but you still do 25% more damage. So that part doesn't change for his EX move, just so everyone's aware of that one, okay? Because a lot of people are confused about that one as well too. So where does his damage come from? A lot of people are like, what? So we don't really do much damage. So really his Dragon Slam is meant to do two things. Number one, give you survivability, because if you look at his trait here, he actually, by the time he stacks all of the 10 of them, he can do 100% soul damage reduction and 50% damage reduction on all other elements to himself. He'll take literally no damage from soul and almost next to nothing for all other elements. His actual Dragon Slam, it does do an increase in damage, but the 8% is actually false. We don't know how it calculates. It definitely isn't that, because that would be a massive, massive boost, but it's actually not 8%. We don't know what the calculation is, but we do know it does do enough damage anyways. If you stack up the Satsu no Iki, especially, his survivability will skyrocket. So Iryu's main goal, quite honestly, guys, is PvP, PvE, and bosses. Now, he's not going to be your main damage dealer in any of these, but he's going to be your main survivability and your main buffer for damage outside of Street Poison. Now, he pairs extremely, extremely well with Akuma. Okay? So, he is going to be your primary buffing unit. And he's a trigger unit, right? So, at that time, you don't even have to worry about his combos. He'll just do combos as long as he has the conditions met. So, Iryu, all 3 content, he's great, but he really, really shines with Akuma. Now, speaking of Akuma, right? This is the one that people are a little bit confused about mostly. Akuma's main job is damage. That's what he's here for. He's pure damage dealer. Now, the thing I think a lot of people misunderstand is they don't let him build up his proper Conquer and Extreme stacks, and they use this every single time. Okay, so every time you use this, guys, remember, after unleashing, gain 1 time and lose all stacks of Conquer. You don't want to lose all your stacks of Conquer. You want to actually continue gaining as much as Conquer as you can while getting your extremes. And then once you get your extremes ready to Shun Goku, then you want to actually start using this. So usually it takes about 2 rotations for Akuma to go to a C2. So you usually want to do either a super and then do someone else a C1, C2, C3 twice, and then you go into this. When it becomes this Shinshatsu Goku, he uses all the extreme stacks to strike the enemy 7 times, dealing soul damage up to 1,105% versus the 715. it's a way bigger difference, and all at the same time, no conquer stacks are consumed when using this skill. So it's important to note, you definitely want to use the rotation correctly for him. Okay, his cars and his fighting spirit are also essential to his growth. Akuma is meant for DPS. He's fantastic as a fast unit. He's super strong, and he will be mainly used for bosses and PvP. PvE, he's quite honestly not as important in my opinion as the other two units. So that is really where Akuma shines. So understanding how to use his rotation will make a big difference in your damage. We gotta read the moves, right? So once you understand how it works, and you're not just doing this 715% damage with a 50% chance to burn, and you're waiting for your conquers and your extremes to stack up, you'll notice a substantial difference in damage. Look at this, like 400% more damage, guys. It's huge. It's huge. So like, don't mess that up, okay? His cars, his FS30 are all extremely important for him, so don't play around with that. Try to get those if you can, okay? And then going back to Gouken. Now, Gouken is probably the most well-rounded character of all three, and he's going to be the one that's probably going to be used most often in all content. Now, in bosses, he's the weakest. I will say that. He can give you guys a little bit more survivability, for example, but you're losing out quite a bit of damage. Now, where they really screwed Gouken up is the fact that they took his C3 away and gave him a C2, because ideally you would have loved to use Gouken, Akuma, and Ryu all on the same team, but now because Akuma and Gouken all fight for the C2 spot, which is, I think, the worst change they could have done for this character, they could have just left it as C3 instead, and it would have been perfect, because then you would have had, you could have done Akuma, for example, sorry, not Akuma, you could have done Gouken or Ryu special, Akuma, and then Street Poison. Start this again. Anyone special you decide to go with, Street Poison would have been my support on the tag section. So C1 from Street Poison, C2 from Akuma, and then obviously Gouken, right? That would be the ideal way. Now, the only problem, of course, with that setup is you don't have a C2 to build Akuma's rotation like we talked about just a second ago. So that's really the only downfall there. But overall, though, I think this was the biggest problem. But now, talking about Gouken, though, he does have a lot more utility than the other two. Even though the damage is not as strong, he does give you a lot more survivability. He gives you better buffs for surviving. And at the same time, over here, you can see here, he unleashes Steel Thunder to everybody. Now, Steel Thunder reduces damage received, increases crit resistance. One attack reduces damage received of the base attack. Last till the end of the battle, stacks up to 10 times, so there's no removal of this in any way, shape, or form. So Gouken is actually going to be a very powerful unit, strictly for PvP, especially for PvP. PvE, absolutely, he's going to dominate in PvE. Any floors or any, like for example, the Supreme Fist, or if you wanted to use him for like a PvE team in challenge mode, he'll be great there. Where again he lacks kind of a little bit is in bosses. Even though Steel Thunder is great and he does allow your allies to survive a fatal hit, it's just not enough compensation for the damage reduction that you give yourself when using him during bosses. Like, he just doesn't do enough damage himself. Anyways, guys, I hope that kind of clears up the three of them. I know a lot of you guys have been asking questions where they're supposed to be used. That's my suggestion. Go with those three sections for each of these guys. Right now, I would say still the most important out of all three, in my opinion, is still Ryu and Akuma are tied. I would say pick one or the other, and Gouken is definitely not a must-have. He's a third string for the three of them, and he can be set aside until the next limited unit to see who they are. If War Dancer Elena is better, then you obviously go for her instead of Gouken. But I know a lot of people like myself love Gouken as a character, and that's why they're going to go for him anyways. But I just wanted to put this video out because I know a lot of you have been asking. Hope this helps. This is Payne. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.